The damaged alien shuttle drifted through space like a piece of debris. Taimin and Yujin sat in the cramped cockpit watching the massive Kethvar command ship grow larger in front of them. The warship was the size of a small city with weapon, towers and shield generators covering its hull. Subin had programmed the shuttle to move very slowly and broadcast a distress signal in the alien language. To the enemy sensors, it would look like a damaged craft drifting helplessly in orbit. The plan was dangerous, but it was their only chance to get inside the heavily defended ship. "I still think this is crazy," Yujin whispered as they approached the command ship docking bay. "What if they scan us and discover we are humans?" "Then we die quickly instead of slowly," Taimin replied. "Either way, we make them pay for what they did to our people." The shuttle was pulled into the docking bay by automatic systems. Through the cockpit window, they could see dozens of Kethvar soldiers working on weapons and equipment. The aliens were preparing for a massive assault on the planet's surface. Heavy plasma cannons and orbital bombardment missiles were being loaded onto attack shuttles. 2 alien technicians approached their shuttle to investigate the damage. Taimin and Yujin hid behind supply containers in the cargo area and waited. When the technicians opened the hatch, Taimin struck with his combat knife. Both aliens died quietly without raising an alarm. They quickly put on stolen alien armor and helmets. The disguises would not fool anyone up close but might let them move through the ship corridors without being noticed immediately. Taimin carried a bag full of explosives while Yujin took an alien energy weapon. The command ship interior was like a maze of metal corridors and chambers. Emergency lighting cast strange shadows on the walls and alien symbols marked different sections. They could hear the sounds of machinery and soldiers preparing for battle. Using a stolen access card, they moved deeper into the ship. Taimin had studied the layout from captured alien data files and knew they needed to reach the reactor core. If they could overload the power system, the entire ship would be destroyed. But first, they discovered something that made both humans sick with horror. An entire deck of the ship was filled with trophy rooms containing the remains of creatures from dozens of different worlds. Skulls and bones from intelligent species were mounted on walls like hunting prizes. "Look at this," Yujin said, pointing to a display case. Inside were human items taken from the colonists. Wedding rings, family photos, and children toys were arranged like museum pieces. The aliens had been collecting trophies from their hunt. Taimin felt rage burning in his chest but forced himself to stay focused. "We will make them pay for every life they took. But first we have to survive long enough to destroy this ship." They continued through the corridors, avoiding patrols and security cameras. The alien armor was hot and uncomfortable, but it hid their human appearance. Several times they passed groups of Kethvar soldiers, but no one challenged them. Finally, they reached the engineering section where the main reactor was located. The reactor core was a massive sphere of glowing energy surrounded by control systems and safety devices. Destroying it would require precise placement of explosives and perfect timing. But as they entered the reactor chamber, alarms suddenly began blaring throughout the ship. Red warning lights flashed and alien voices shouted commands over the communication system. Their infiltration had been discovered. "The body's in the docking bay," Yujin said. "Someone must have found the dead technicians." Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridors as security teams rushed toward their location. Taimin quickly began placing explosive charges around the reactor core while Yujin guarded the entrance. They had minutes before enemy soldiers would surround them. The first alien guards rounded the corner just as Taimin finished arming the last explosive device. Yujin opened fire with her stolen energy weapon, cutting down 2 enemies before they could raise their own guns. But more were coming, and their position was hopeless. "The charges need 5 minutes to overload the reactor," Taimin shouted over the noise of gunfire. "We have to hold them off that long." More alien soldiers poured into the reactor chamber, firing energy blasts that scorched the metal walls. Taimin and Yujin took cover behind equipment racks and fought back with everything they had. The battle was fierce and desperate. Then the lights went out and emergency power kicked in. Someone had cut the main power to try to stop the reactor overload. In the dim red lighting, the fighting became even more chaotic and deadly. A massive figure appeared in the doorway. War Chief Groktar himself had come to deal with the human intruders personally. He was 8 feet tall with advanced armor and weapons that glowed with deadly energy. His voice boomed through the chamber like thunder. So the little prey animals think they can fight warriors. I will kill you slowly and broadcast your screams to your dying world. Groktar raised his plasma cannon and fired a shot that barely missed Taemin head. The energy blast melted a hole through the reactor shielding and sparks flew everywhere. The alien leader was so angry he was willing to risk damaging his own ship. Taemin rolled behind a control panel and returned fire with his stolen weapon. The shots bounced off Groktar's advanced armor without causing any damage. The alien leader laughed and advanced, slowly enjoying the fear he thought he was causing. Your pathetic weapons cannot harm me, human. I have killed 1,000 species stronger than yours. You will join their bones in my trophy collection. But Taemin was not afraid. He was calculating distances and timing like the trained soldier he had always been. The explosive charges would detonate in 60 seconds whether the reactor was stable or not. He just needed to keep Groktar talking that long. You made one mistake, Taemin shouted back. You came to the wrong world and picked the wrong people to hunt. Yujin was still fighting other alien soldiers near the entrance, but she was running low on ammunition. 3 more enemy warriors entered the chamber and began flanking their position. The situation was becoming impossible. 30 seconds until detonation. Groktar fired another plasma blast that destroyed the control panel Taemin was hiding behind. Molten metal sprayed everywhere, and the human soldier had to roll away to avoid being burned alive. 20 seconds. The war chief was close enough now that Taemin could see his yellow eyes through the armor helmet. The alien leader raised his weapon for a killing shot and smiled with cruel satisfaction. 10 seconds. Taemin closed his eyes and thought about all the innocent people the aliens had murdered. Children like Bora who deserved to grow up in peace. Families who had come to the colony to build better lives. 5 seconds. Groktar pulled the trigger on his plasma cannon just as the explosive charges detonated throughout the reactor core. The explosion was beyond anything either human or alien had ever experienced. The reactor containment field collapsed and released the energy of a small star into the ship interior. Metal walls vaporized instantly, and the shockwave raced through every corridor and chamber. Groktar's final shot went wide as the deck plates buckled beneath his feet. His scream of rage was lost in the roar of destruction as his mighty warship began tearing itself apart from the inside. Taemin grabbed Yujin's hand, and they ran toward the nearest escape pods as the ship died around them. Behind them, the reactor core was collapsing into a miniature black hole that would consume everything within 1,000 miles. They had succeeded in their impossible mission, but now they faced an even greater challenge: getting off the doomed ship alive before it became their tomb. The 3rd day of hunting brought heavy rain that turned the forest floor into mud. Taemin crouched behind fallen logs and watched a HFY hunting party track a group of colonists toward the river. The aliens moved in perfect formation with their leader in front and 3 soldiers following in a triangle pattern. Their force fields shimmered in the rain like soap bubbles. Taemin had been studying them for 2 days and nights. He learned that the HFY always hunted the same way. They never changed their tactics because they had never needed to. For hundreds of years they had hunted weaker species across the galaxy. No prey had ever fought back successfully. The heavy rain was giving him new information. The aliens' thermal sensors could not work properly in the storm. They were scanning the forest with bright lights instead of heat vision. This was a weakness Taemin could use. He watched the hunting party corner a family behind some rocks near the waterfall. The father tried to protect his wife and daughter, but the aliens stunned him with their energy weapons. They dragged the family away, and Taemin felt his anger rise. These monsters treated human lives like toys. That night, he moved closer to the alien camp. The HFY had set up a temporary base near the colony buildings. They had portable shelters and communication equipment that connected them to their main ship in orbit. Taemin counted about 40 aliens on the ground, with more staying on the ship. He studied their equipment by crawling through the mud and hiding behind supply containers. The power packs for their force fields were the size of backpacks and glowed bright blue when fully charged. The glow turned orange when the power was getting low and red when almost empty. During recharging, the packs had to be connected to a power station for exactly 12 minutes. Taemin also noticed something else. The aliens were very proud and followed strict rules about how to hunt. They would not use their biggest weapons on humans because they considered that dishonorable. It was like using a cannon to kill a mouse. This pride was another weakness. On the fourth day, he began leaving messages for other survivors. He carved simple symbols into tree bark near water sources and abandoned shelters. The symbols showed safe paths away from alien patrols and warned about dangerous areas. Some survivors found these messages and started following his guidance. A woman named Haiwan found one of his message trees. She was the colony doctor and had been hiding in a medical supply cave. She left a response message saying she was treating wounded survivors and needed help getting medicine to them. Taemin decided to make contact. They met at midnight, near an old mining shed. Haiwan was a small woman with intelligent eyes who spoke quietly but firmly. She told him about 12 other survivors hiding in different locations. Most were injured or sick and could not run much longer. The aliens are getting closer to finding us, she said. Yesterday they almost discovered the Kim family hiding in the drainage pipes. We need to do something soon, or we will all be dead. Taemin nodded. I have been watching them. They have patterns we can predict, but I need help to fight them properly. What kind of help? Haiwan asked. People who know explosives and electronics. Maybe some who understand alien technology. Can you find anyone like that among the survivors? Haiwan thought for a moment. There is Jinho, who worked with mining, explosives, and Subin used to be in the military before she became a communications technician. They might help if you have a real plan. The next day brought more horror. The aliens found and killed the Park family who had been hiding in a tree house. They also captured 2 teenagers who were trying to reach the communications tower. The hunting was becoming more organized and systematic. Soon the aliens would find everyone. That evening, Taemin met with Jinho and Subin at the old mining equipment yard. Jinho was a big man with rough hands who knew how to make things explode safely. Subin was younger and very smart about computers and radio equipment. The doctor says you want to fight these monsters, Jinho said. How do we kill something with force fields and energy weapons? Taemin showed them alien equipment he had stolen from their camp. Their shields need power. When they recharge the shields, they are vulnerable for 12 minutes. We can kill them with normal weapons during that time. Subin examined a damaged alien communicator. This technology is advanced but not impossible to understand. If I can figure out how it works, maybe I can listen to their radio traffic. And I can make bombs from mining supplies, Jinho added. But we need to be very careful. One mistake and we all die. They spent 2 days preparing their first attack. Subin worked on the alien communicator while Jinho built explosive traps, using mining charges and timer devices. Taemin scouted the best location for an ambush. He chose a narrow valley where hunting parties often passed while tracking humans. The valley had only one way in and out, which would trap the aliens when the explosives went off. Jinho placed charges on both sides of the path and connected them to a remote trigger. Subin finally broke the alien communication code and started listening to their radio chatter. She learned that a hunting party would patrol the valley next morning. 4 aliens, including a pack leader, would be walking right into their trap. The morning of their first attack, Taemin felt nervous, but determined. He had killed many enemies as a Navy SEAL, but never aliens with advanced technology. This would test everything he had learned about warfare. The hunting party entered the valley exactly when Subin predicted. The pack leader walked in front scanning for human tracks while his 3 soldiers followed behind. Their force fields were active and their weapons were ready. They looked confident and relaxed. Taemin waited until all 4 aliens were in the kill zone, then triggered Jinho explosive charges. The blast was enormous. Rocks fell from both sides of the valley and thick smoke filled the air. When the dust settled, 3 aliens were dead and 1 was badly injured. The surviving alien tried to call for help, but Taemin shot him with a rifle before he could use his communicator. It was the first time a human had killed a HFY warrior in combat. The hunter had become the hunted. They quickly gathered alien weapons and equipment, then disappeared into the forest before reinforcements could arrive. Back at their hidden camp, they examined their prizes. The alien weapons were powerful but complicated. The force field generators were too heavy for humans to carry, but the energy cells could power human equipment for weeks. Subin intercepted alien radio messages about the attack. The pack leader, War Chief Groktar, was furious that one of his hunters was dead. He ordered more patrols and threatened to use heavy weapons if the humans did not surrender. Good, Taemin said. Now they know we can fight back. That will make them angry and careless. Angry enemies make mistakes. That night more survivors found them, including Yujin and Bora, who had heard the explosion from their hiding place. Yujin was proud of what Taemin had accomplished, but worried about the greater danger they now faced. The aliens will send everything. They have to find us, she said. Let them come, Taemin replied. I know their weaknesses now and I am just getting started. Word spread quickly through the surviving colonists that someone had killed the alien hunters. More people began seeking out Taemin hidden camps in the forest. They came at night following the secret symbols he carved into trees. Most were families, with children, but some had useful skills for fighting. A man named Dongwu found them on the 6th night. He was a mining explosives expert who had been hiding in the equipment storage caves. His hands shook as he told them about watching the aliens capture his wife and daughter 3 days earlier. I want to make them pay, he said with tears in his eyes. I know every explosive device in this colony and how to make them work better. Let me help you kill these monsters. Taemin welcomed the new recruit. With Dongwu knowledge of mining, explosives, and Jin-Ho experience with demolition work, they could create much bigger and deadlier traps. The aliens would learn that humans could be very dangerous when protecting their families. Subin had been working day and night to crack more alien communication codes. She discovered that the HFY followed strict hunting rules that had been passed down for generations. They could only use certain weapons against prey species. Using their most powerful guns on humans would be considered dishonorable and shameful. This is very important information, Taemin told the group. It means they cannot bring their biggest weapons against us without losing face with their own people. We are fighting with one hand, but so are they. The next morning, Subin intercepted a radio message that made everyone excited. A hunting party of 6 aliens would be patrolling the eastern forest at noon. They were looking for the humans who had killed their comrade and wanted revenge. Taemin smiled. Perfect. Let us give them more revenge than they can handle. They spent hours preparing an elaborate ambush in a narrow canyon that connected 2 parts of the forest. The aliens would have to pass through this canyon to reach the area where families were supposed to be hiding, but instead of victims, they would find death waiting for them. Dongwu placed explosive charges along the canyon walls using mining equipment that could move tons of rock. Jin-Ho connected the charges to pressure triggers hidden under fake animal tracks. When the aliens stepped on the triggers, the entire canyon would collapse on top of them. Taemin and 2 other colonists would hide in the rocks above the canyon. They had stolen alien energy weapons from their first successful ambush. The weapons were heavy and complicated, but they were learning how to use them. Subin set up a radio relay system so she could listen to alien communications from a safe distance. If more enemy forces were coming, she could warn the ambush team in time to escape. At exactly noon, the hunting party entered the canyon. 6 tall gray aliens moved in formation with their pack leader scanning for human tracks. Their force fields glowed bright blue in the sunlight and their weapons hummed with energy. They looked angry and determined to find the humans who had embarrassed them. The lead alien stepped directly on one of Jin-Ho's hidden pressure plates. Nothing happened for a few seconds, and Taemin worried the trap had failed. Then the world exploded. Massive charges detonated all along both walls of the canyon. Thousands of tons of rock crashed down like a deadly waterfall. The noise was so loud it could be heard for miles. Dust and debris filled the air so thick that nobody could see anything. When the dust finally settled, the canyon was completely filled with rocks and broken stone. All 6 aliens were buried under the avalanche. Not even their advanced force fields could protect them from that much falling rock. The human fighters cheered and hugged each other. They had just killed 6 more alien warriors without losing anyone from their own team. The hunters were becoming the hunted, and the aliens were starting to understand that humans were not helpless prey. But their celebration was cut short when Subin radio started crackling with urgent messages. She had been monitoring alien communications and the news was very bad. War Chief Groktar is going crazy with rage, she reported. He just received permission from his commanders to break the hunting rules. They are bringing military weapons down from their ship, heavy armor and plasma cannons that can destroy entire forests. Taemin felt ice in his stomach. If the aliens used their full military power, they could kill every human on the planet within hours. The hunting game was over, and real war was about to begin. How long before they bring the heavy weapons, he asked. The radio chatter says they are loading dropships now, Subin replied. Maybe 6 hours before they reach the surface. 6 hours to prepare for an enemy they could not possibly defeat in direct combat. But Taemin had learned something important about the HFY during his days of watching them. They were proud warriors, but they were also predictable. They would want to destroy the humans who had humiliated them personally. Subin, can you find the location of their command ship? He asked. She worked frantically with her alien communication equipment. It is in orbit directly above the colony, standard, military formation with escort ships protecting it. What about the ship defenses? How do we get inside something that powerful? Subin accessed more alien data files. The command ship has energy shields that can stop any weapon fired from outside, but the shields are designed to deflect energy attacks. Physical objects moving slowly might be able to pass through. Taemin felt a crazy plan forming in his mind. What about a damaged shuttle moving slowly? Would that register as debris instead of a threat? Maybe, Subin said. But how do we get a shuttle, and why would you want to get inside their ship? Because that is where War Chief Groktar is commanding the hunt, Taemin replied. If we can kill him, the other aliens might lose their will to fight. Cut off the head and the body dies. Dongwu stared at him. You want to attack their command ship? That is suicide. Maybe, Taemin said. But if we stay here, we all die when they bring those heavy weapons down. At least this way we have a chance to save the remaining colonists. Yujin had been listening quietly, but now she spoke up. I am coming with you. No, Taemin said immediately. It is too dangerous and someone needs to take care of Bora. Bora can stay with Haewon, Yujin replied. You will need someone to watch your back and help with the fighting. I may not be a soldier, but I know how to shoot and I want these monsters dead as much as you do. The argument continued for an hour, but finally Taemin agreed to let Yujin join the mission. She had been brave throughout the entire hunt and had earned the right to fight for her planet. They found a damaged alien shuttle that had crashed during the first day of hunting. Subin spent precious hours repairing its engines and navigation systems while Dongwu loaded it with every explosive device they could carry. As the sun set on the 7th day of hunting, Taemin prepared for the most dangerous mission of his life. He had fought many battles as a Navy SEAL, but never anything like this. He would be attacking an alien warship with nothing but courage and determination. If we do not come back, continue the resistance, he told Jinho and the other survivors. Make the aliens pay for every human life. Show them that we will never surrender. The shuttle lifted off into the dark sky, carrying 2 humans toward a date with destiny. Below them, the forest was quiet, but that would change soon. War Chief. Groktar was about to learn that some prey fought back with deadly skill. The morning sun shone bright over Haven Rest mining colony, when the sky suddenly turned dark. Massive alien ships blocked out the light like giant black clouds. Taemin was fixing a mining drill when he heard the screams coming from the main settlement. He dropped his tools and ran toward the town center where hundreds of colonists were gathering. Giant 7-foot-tall aliens walked down from their ships. Their skin looked like gray leather and they carried weapons that glowed with blue energy. The aliens wore metal armor that sparkled with some kind of force field. Their leader stepped forward and spoke in a deep, booming voice. A small robot translated his words into human language. We are the HFY Empire. We have traveled across the galaxy seeking worthy prey for the great hunt. Your species has been chosen. You have 24 hours to run and hide in your forests and mountains. After that time, the hunting will begin. Those who survive 7 days will be allowed to live as our slaves. Most of you will die for our entertainment. The colonists panicked. Mothers grabbed their children and ran toward their homes. Men shouted, questions that no one could answer. Some people tried to reach their vehicles, but the aliens had already destroyed the landing pad and communication towers. There was nowhere to run except into the wilderness. Taman felt his old military training take over. He had been a Navy SEAL for 12 years before coming to this quiet mining world to forget about war. Now war had found him again. He watched the aliens carefully and noticed they moved in organized groups. These were not random killers but trained soldiers who enjoyed hunting intelligent beings for sport. His neighbor Yu Jin ran up to him carrying her 8-year-old son Bo-Ra. Tears streamed down her face as she begged him for help. "Please, Taemin, you were a soldier. You know how to fight. Help us escape from this nightmare." Taemin looked at the frightened woman and child. Yu Jin worked in the colony medical center and had always been kind to him. Little Bo-Ra reminded him of his younger brother who died in a terrorist attack years ago. He wanted to help, but he knew the truth. These aliens had better weapons, better armor, and better technology. Fighting them would be suicide. "Take only what you can carry," he told Yu Jin. "Food, water, and warm clothes. I know a place in the old mines where you can hide." The next few hours were chaos. Families packed supplies and fled into the forests surrounding the colony. The aliens watched them go and seemed amused by the panic. Some of the younger Kethvar laughed and made betting sounds about which humans would survive the longest. Taemin led Yu Jin and Bo-Ra through secret paths he had discovered during his morning runs. The old mining tunnels went deep into the mountains and had been abandoned for years. He showed them a hidden chamber with fresh water and ventilation shafts for air. "Stay here no matter what happens," he told them. "Do not make fires or loud sounds. I will bring you food when I can." Yu Jin grabbed his arm. "Where are you going? Do not leave us alone." "Someone has to watch the aliens and learn how they hunt," Taemin replied. "Maybe I can find their weaknesses." The first day of hunting began, at dawn. The Kethvar spread out in groups of 4 and began tracking the fleeing humans. They used advanced sensors that could see body heat through rocks and trees. Their weapons fired blue energy that could stun or kill depending on the setting. They moved through the forest like experienced predators. Taemin hid in the treetops and watched them work. He saw them capture a family of 5 near the river. The aliens stunned the parents and children, then carried them back to their ships. Later, he heard screaming from the direction of the landing area. The sounds made his blood run cold. Other hunting parties killed their prey quickly with energy blasts. They took trophies from the bodies and seemed to compete with each other over who could make the most creative kills. These aliens treated human death like a game. As the sun set on the first day, Taemin counted at least 30 colonists dead or captured. The aliens celebrated around campfires and shared stories of their hunts. Their translator robots broadcast some of these stories to their homeworld. Billions of Kethvar across the galaxy were watching humans die for entertainment. That night, Taemin made a decision that would change everything. He could not save all the colonists, but maybe he could make the aliens pay for their cruelty. Instead of running and hiding like prey, he would become a hunter himself. He spent the dark hours moving through the forest and studying the alien campsites. The Kethvar were confident and careless. They left their equipment unguarded and talked loudly about their plans for the next day. Their force fields required power packs that glowed bright blue. Taemin noticed these power packs were changed every few hours. He also discovered something important about their hunting patterns. Each group had one leader who carried special sensors and gave orders to the others. The leaders wore different colored armor and carried bigger weapons. If he could eliminate the leaders, the other aliens might become confused. On the second day, the hunting continued. Taemin watched from hiding as more families were killed or captured. He felt rage building inside him but forced himself to stay calm and keep learning. Anger would make him careless and get him killed. He followed one hunting party for hours and noticed they stopped to rest every 2 hours. During these breaks, they turned off their force fields to save power. For exactly 12 minutes, they were vulnerable to normal weapons. Taemin had found his first opportunity. That evening, he returned to check on Yu Jin and Bo-Ra. They were hungry and scared, but alive. Little Bo-Ra asked him why the aliens wanted to hurt people. Taemin did not have a good answer. Some beings, enjoy causing pain, he said simply. But they made a mistake coming here. Humans are not as weak as they think. Yujin looked at him with hope in her eyes. You have a plan? Yes, Taemin replied. Tomorrow I start teaching these aliens that humans can be dangerous when we need to be. They wanted to hunt us for sport. Now I am going to hunt them for justice. The war was about to begin, but this time the prey would become the predator. The command ship was tearing itself apart as Taemin and Yujin ran through corridors filled with smoke and falling debris. Emergency lights flickered on and off, while alien voices screamed orders through damaged communication systems. The reactor explosion had started a chain reaction that would destroy the entire vessel. They reached the escape pod bay just as another massive explosion rocked the ship. Several pods had already launched, carrying alien survivors away from the dying warship. Taemin grabbed Yujin and pushed her toward the nearest empty pod. I do not know how to fly this thing, she shouted over the noise of collapsing metal and electrical fires. Neither do I, Taemin replied as he sealed the pod hatch. But it has to be better than staying here. The escape pod launched automatically and shot away from the command ship just as the main hull began breaking into pieces. Through the small window they watched the massive warship collapse in on itself like a dying star. Explosions lit up space as fuel tanks and ammunition storage areas detonated. War Chief Groktar and hundreds of his warriors died in the destruction. The most feared hunting commander in the Kethvar Empire was gone along with his flagship and most of his veteran soldiers. But the victory came at a terrible cost. The escape pod had no navigation controls that humans could understand. It fell toward the planet's surface like a meteor, while automated systems tried to slow their descent. Taemin held Yujin tight as they crashed through the atmosphere and prepared for impact. They hit the forest canopy at tremendous speed. Trees snapped like twigs as the pod bounced and rolled down a hillside before finally stopping in a creek bed. Both humans were bruised and bleeding but alive. The pod had protected them from the worst of the crash. Meanwhile, on the planet's surface, the remaining Kethvar forces were in chaos. Subin had been monitoring their communications from her hidden radio post and heard the confusion in their voices. Without their war chief and command ship, the alien hunters did not know what to do. Some wanted to retreat to their remaining ships and leave the planet. Others demanded revenge for their fallen leader. The alien forces split into different groups that began fighting each other as much as they fought the human survivors. Jin Ho and Dong Wu used this confusion to launch their own attacks on alien positions. They had spent days preparing explosive traps throughout the forest and now triggered them all at once. Entire alien patrol units disappeared in massive explosions that shook the ground for miles. The remaining human colonists came out of hiding and joined the fight. Men, women, and even older children took up weapons stolen from dead aliens. They had been hunted like animals for a week, but now they fought back with the fury of people defending their homes. Hae-won organized the survivors into fighting groups and medical teams. She had been treating wounded humans throughout the hunt, and now she worked to save both human and alien lives. Even in war, she remained true to her medical oath to help all injured beings. Little Bora had grown up fast during the terrible week of hunting. The 8-year-old boy helped carry ammunition and medical supplies between fighting positions. Moved through the forest like a ghost using skills Taemin had taught him about staying hidden. Subin made the most important contribution of all. She had been working to crack the alien military communication codes and finally succeeded. Now she could not only listen to their radio traffic, but also send false orders that confused their remaining forces even more. She broadcast fake retreat orders that caused some alien units to abandon their positions. Then she sent contradictory attack orders that made different groups fire on each other by mistake. The Kethvar military discipline was falling apart without strong leadership. Most importantly, Subin managed to access the alien data networks and discovered something amazing. The entire hunt had been broadcast live to the Kethvar homeworlds as entertainment. Billions of aliens across their empire had watched humans being killed for sport, but now they were watching something very different. They saw their mighty warriors being defeated by supposedly weak prey animals. They watched human families fight together to protect each other with courage that impressed even enemy viewers. The broadcast showed Taemin and Yujin destroying the command ship and killing the famous war chief Groktar. It showed human colonists using intelligence and teamwork to defeat superior alien technology. For the first time in their history, the Kethvar were seeing their hunters become the hunted. Subin recorded everything and began transmitting the images to other worlds throughout the galaxy. Species that had been conquered by the Kethvar Empire saw that the seemingly invincible hunters could be beaten. Rebellion began,